We're here to talk about some of your experiences with the NHS staff over the years. So you suffered your first injury in your first year with the Vikings back in 2010 when you dislocated your shoulder against York. Tell us a bit about that and how you were treated both on and off the field afterwards.
Yeah, well, that was pretty much the first proper injury I'd had. I was only 18 at the time, and I'd landed awkwardly in a tackle, and I knew something was wrong straight away. So the physios come on and had a look at me and assessed my shoulder. My shoulder was out of the socket, so obviously went into the changing rooms and was with the club doctor who managed to get it back in place. And then, I had a few visits to see the hospital. I had an X-ray at first, and then I had a scan, and it was determined that I needed surgery on it. So from there, obviously met with the surgeon, which I was quite nervous about because I'd never experienced anything like it before, and obviously he said that I needed to have surgery on it. So it was nerve-wracking, but the surgeon was great with me straight away. He eased my fears about it and just pretty much assured me that everything would be okay, and it was the best thing for my career going forward. So went ahead with it and got it fixed, and it's been good since then. So
Yeah, it must have been tough, obviously, sitting on the sidelines when you just came through into the team. Obviously, for 3 months you were out. How tough was that at the start of your career to be sitting out for so long?
yeah, it was. Obviously, like I said, I was only 18 and I just broke into the first team. I'd played sort of 5 or 6 games towards the back end of the season before, and then I was awarded with a starting jersey for the season. And I was in the number 1 shirt. I was playing well, and everything seemed to be going well for me. And then obviously, in the blink of an eye, I'd picked up quite a long-term injury, so it was quite hard to take. And the rehab side of it was difficult, but I got through the initial soreness phase and then started cracking on my rehab, and then it went quite quickly from there, really.
Yeah, how was it coming back then? Because obviously you'd spent 3 months out and you'd had your first surgery. Was it tough to come back and play rugby again after being hurt like that badly?
Probably initially going into training it was, yeah. When I started back contact training with the lads, that was probably the most concerning thing for me. Obviously you get the okay from the physio to go and play, and then you're all right then. So going into games wasn't so much of an issue, but I probably felt as though my left shoulder was probably stronger than my right one with all the rehab that I'd done on it. So I was more than confident that it had held up, and touch wood, since then it has. So I've had no issues with it since.
Yeah, you had obviously your second Keyhole surgery in 2011 as well, at a different hospital. How was that experience, and how were the doctors and nurses with you through that?
Yeah, so that was just basically it was just wear and tear really. I had a little bit of a labral tear, which was causing me issues when I was doing my gym work and pressing weights above my head. I was sort of struggling with that, so it was decided I'd go to the hospital and obviously find out what was going on. And I had scans again, and it was determined that I'd torn my labrum, and it was decided that it'd be better for me to get it fixed. And it was towards the back end of the season anyway. We'd only had a couple of games left, so instead of eating into pre-season when I was supposed to be training, it was better to have it done sooner rather than later. And thankfully, when I had that done, I was back for the beginning of pre-season with that. So that was just sort of a short-term fix for me.
Yeah, and then you had the metal plate you put in, obviously in 2013. How did that come about, and was it tough to make that decision to have that put in with the doctors?
So with that one, I'd fractured my clavicle. My bone had broken, but it had broken upwards, sort of towards my neck. That was in London as well, and it was a night game, so we played the game, and obviously my bone's up here, and I had to come back from London in a sling, and that was a long trip home, and went and seen a specialist about it, and he'd basically said that because of how bad the break was, that a plate would be better over the top of it, just to protect the bone and let it heal better. So we decided together that I'd have the plate in it, which is just over my collarbone, and I got to a point with that where I was supposed to have it out after 2 years, and I got to a point with it when I started back contact training, and I was getting knocks on it, and where the scar was, my skin over the scar was sort of quite thin, so when I was getting knocked on that, it was ripping my skin, and it was causing it to bleed and stuff. It was a bit uncomfortable as well, so went back to see the surgeon again, and we decided together that I'd have it taken out, which I think it was about 18 months. So it was 6 months ahead of time, but I felt miles better since having it taken out.
Yeah. How was the procedure getting it taken out as well?
Yeah, so basically I've got quite a big scar going across my collarbone. So he basically just reopened the old scar, and like I said, it was on top of my collarbone, so I'd imagine that it's just been reopened and all the screws and stuff taken out and the plate taken out. And I was a bit of a weirdo. I asked him could I keep hold of the plate that was in my shoulder, so I've still got that at home as well. I've got pictures of that as well, so you know, I'll show some people them at the fair as well.
Particularly gruesome one which you showed us before, which I'll include as well, possibly for the less squeamish viewers. It was a spiral fracture of your ring finger in 2016. That must have been difficult to see your hand in that way as well. So how were the doctors about treating you if you were particularly distressed with the finger in that way?
Yeah, so obviously I've had quite a few shoulder operations and one on my ankle, but I've had 2 on my fingers and they've been the most painful ones. So the first one I had, obviously the spiral fracture, I got my hand stuck in a player's shorts, which is quite an embarrassing story really of how I've done it. But you know, obviously I looked down at my hand and I thought I'd dislocated my finger at first and tried to move it and it just wouldn't budge. So obviously I spoke to the physio during the game when I'd gone off, and he just said to me that it's not dislocated, but we need to get to the bottom of it, and sent me to a specialist, Mike Hayton. I'd spoke to Mike Hayton, and I had to drive from Leeds on a night time where we'd played to, I think it was somewhere in Manchester, I can't remember the name of the hospital. Met up with Mike, and he basically just said that my finger was a mess and it needed sorting. So that was a case of getting it fixed, and it's still bent now, but they've done the best job that they can with it, where they've cut it open and put pins in that. So after I finish playing, the plan is to have the pins taken out, have my finger broken, and then set straight again. So I've still got that to come as well.
Something to look forward to. And another one was the avulsion fractures in your left ring finger last year as well. You had surgery while you were awake for that one. Yeah. Was that particularly distressing, or were the doctors able to keep you calm for that one?
No, to be honest with you, I was a bit nervous when they said that I'd be awake for it. I asked them if they'd put me to sleep, and they said because the procedure was not that long, that they'd keep me awake. So one of the anaesthetists came into the theatre with me, and she was sat at the side of me just talking to me through the procedure and stuff, and obviously I had a few glances of what they were doing, which was, you know, it was quite gruesome. You know, obviously I didn't feel anything at the time, but when you're looking at your hand and it's being cut open, it's strange. It's a bit of a weird feeling, like, but yeah, it's something that I'll remember definitely.
Yeah. What were the doctors like in terms of aftercare as well after you've had these surgeries done? It must be tough kind of recovering from them. Are the doctors supportive of you after you've had the surgery as well? Yeah,
well, to be honest with you, I've had 8 operations now throughout my career, and every time I've been to an hospital, I've never had a bad word to say about any of the staff. They've always been welcoming to me, and you know, they've made me feel at ease, and especially with the aftercare as well, when you're still under anaesthetic, and you know, I'm probably talking a lot of waffle to him a lot of the times, but you know, just having conversations with him and easing fears about going in pre-surgery and then post-surgery. Obviously you talk to him about aftercare and stuff, and you know, just you get chatting about family and different things. It's just nice to have conversations with them people, and yeah, like I said, I've only got good things to say about my experiences when I've had surgeries.
Yeah. How would you summarise your experiences with NHS staff over the years in general then?
Yeah, well, it's a funny story. So my last operation I had, me and Tom Gilmore had our shoulders done at the same time, and it was in Runcorn Hospital. And Owen Buckley's mum was working on the ward, so I'd got speaking to her quite a bit. I went in before Tom, so once I'd come back up and you know the anaesthetic was wearing off, I got speaking to Owen's mum. He was just talking about rugby and you know different things, and then the next thing Tom comes getting wheeled in after his surgery. You know, he's got this mask over his face, and we both just I was laying in the bed, and obviously she stood at the side of the bed. We were both just laughing at Tom, but that was one of my funny experiences with it. Yeah.
That's brilliant. How much would you encourage people to get into roles within the NHS then to help people like they've helped you?
Definitely, I think people probably underestimate how many roles there is within the NHS. You know, 'cause, like when I've been in for surgeries, you've got your porters and your nurses, your anaesthetists, you've got your surgeons, doctors, the lot, receptionists. So there's lots of different job roles within the NHS. So I'd advise anyone to at least take a look at a career in the NHS.